In September 2022, Burkina Faso faced its second coup d'état in less than 9 months. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a 34-year-old army officer, seized power, overthrowing Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who himself had led a coup earlier that year. Damiba had toppled the democratically elected president Roch-Marc Christian Kabore in January 2022. Traoré justified his actions by stating that Damiba had failed to address the growing insurgency that was ravaging Burkina Faso. The security situation in the country had deteriorated, and the people were losing hope as jihadist groups expanded their control over vast regions of the country. For many, Damiba had not delivered on his promise to improve security, and Traoré took it upon himself to act. Observers were quick to notice the striking similarities between Captain Traoré and Thomas Sankara, the beloved revolutionary leader who was assassinated in 1987. Both Traoré and Sankara were military captains, both took power at the age of 34, and both led coups against military governments that had themselves come to power by force. In addition, Traoré's choice to wear a red beret, a symbol often associated with Sankara, further fueled the comparisons. These parallels sparked interest both within Burkina Faso and across Africa, as many saw Traoré as a new incarnation of Sankara's revolutionary spirit. Traoré's rise to power was swift, but his background is less known to the general public. Born in 1988 in Bondokouy, a town in the western part of Burkina Faso, Traoré grew up in a relatively modest environment. He attended primary school in his hometown and later went to secondary school in Bobo-Dioulasso, the country's second-largest city. Unlike many military officers who pursue military careers from a young age, Traoré originally had a civilian background. He moved to Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, to study geology at Joseph Kizerbo University. According to reports, Traoré was a reserved and shy student, but his intelligence stood out. He excelled in his studies and was the valedictorian of his class. Despite his academic success, Traoré felt a different calling. In 2009, rather than continuing his university studies, he decided to join the military. He enrolled in the George Namoano Military Academy, located in Po, a second-tier military school compared to the prestigious Kadiogo Military Academy, which produced iconic figures such as Thomas Sankara and former President Blaise Compaoré. Nonetheless, Traoré quickly made a name for himself. Upon graduating from the academy in 2012, he joined the artillery regiment in Kaya, a city in the northern region of Burkina Faso. Traoré's career progressed rapidly. By 2014, he was deployed to Mali as part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission, known as MINUSMA. It was in Mali that Traoré gained valuable combat experience, fighting against jihadist insurgents and ethnic militants. He was stationed in the northern Timbuktu region, a volatile area where insurgent groups frequently launched attacks against UN forces and the local population. Traoré's bravery in battle did not go unnoticed. In 2018, he participated in a complex operation to defend a UN base from a large-scale militant attack. According to various accounts, Traoré displayed exceptional courage during the battle, which earned him recognition among his peers and superiors. After his deployment in Mali, Traoré returned to Burkina Faso, where he continued to rise through the ranks. In 2019, he took part in Operation Otapuano, a military campaign aimed at driving jihadist groups out of Burkina Faso's eastern region. While the operation was initially hailed as a success, the militants quickly regrouped and launched attacks in other parts of the country, highlighting the persistent challenges facing the Burkinabe military. Despite the setbacks, Traoré remained committed to improving Burkina Faso's security. By 2020, he had been promoted to the rank of captain, and his reputation as a brave and capable officer continued to grow. However, like many young officers, Traoré became increasingly frustrated with the inability of the military's senior leadership to contain the insurgency. In one notable incident in 2020, jihadists had surrounded the town of Barcelogo in central Burkina Faso. The militants had mined the roads leading into the town, preventing reinforcements from reaching the area. Undeterred, Traoré led his men on a perilous mission through the countryside to reach the besieged town. Their efforts succeeded, and they were able to free the town from jihadist control. The insurgency in Burkina Faso had devastating consequences for the country's population. Jihadist groups, including affiliates of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, wreaked havoc in the northern and eastern regions, controlling vast swaths of territory. The central government's reach was limited, and by 2022, it was estimated that the government controlled just over half of the country's territory, with some reports suggesting that the actual figure was even lower. These groups used a variety of tactics, including armed attacks, abductions, and carjackings, to terrorize local communities. They also exploited ethnic tensions and social divisions to recruit fighters and strengthen their influence. The humanitarian toll was immense. By mid-2022, more than 2 million people had been displaced by the violence, and thousands had been killed. Many regions of the country faced food insecurity, and the overall situation was becoming increasingly dire. It was within this context that Lieutenant Colonel Damiba came to power in January 2022, ousting President Roch Kabore. Damiba had promised to prioritize the fight against jihadists and restore security, but as the months passed, it became clear that little progress was being made. Attacks by militant groups continued to rise, and dissatisfaction within the military began to grow. Captain Traoré, who had been promoted to head the artillery regiment in Kaya under Damiba's rule, became one of the most vocal critics of the government's failure to address the security crisis. He and other young officers in the military were disillusioned by the lack of resources and support for their operations. In remote areas, soldiers often went without pay for extended periods and faced severe logistical challenges. Morale was low, and the military was suffering heavy losses. The breaking point came in September 2022, when jihadists attacked a convoy of 150 trucks carrying food supplies to the city of Djibo in northern Burkina Faso. The convoy was ambushed, and 37 people, including 27 soldiers, were killed. This attack, which was claimed by an Al-Qaeda-linked group, was a major blow to the military, and anger among the troops reached a boiling point. Damiba, who was attending the United Nations General Assembly in New York at the time, was widely criticized for his absence during the crisis. His decision to send a 70-member delegation to the UN summit was seen as tone-deaf and out of touch with the realities on the ground. In the days following the convoy attack, Traore and other officers traveled to Ouagadougou to meet with Damiba and express their grievances. However, their requests for an audience with the president were ignored, further fueling their frustration. On the morning of October 1, 2022, Traoré and his supporters launched a coup. Gunfire echoed through the streets of Ouagadougou as military units loyal to Traoré seized key locations in the capital. Later that evening, Traoré appeared on national television, flanked by soldiers, to announce that he had taken control of the country. In his address, Traoré accused Damiba of betraying the military and failing to prioritize the security of Burkina Faso. He promised to refocus efforts on reclaiming territory from jihadists and restoring peace to the country. Traoré's junta, which retained the name Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration, MPSR, also signaled its intention to diversify Burkina Faso's international partnerships in the fight against terrorism, hinting at possible cooperation with Russia. The coup was met with mixed reactions. While some welcomed the change in leadership, others were skeptical about whether Traoré could deliver on his promises. However, his rise to power also highlighted the broader anti-French sentiment that was growing in Burkina Faso and other parts of West Africa. France, the former colonial power, had maintained a military presence in the region for decades, but many people saw French involvement as part of the problem, not the solution. In January 2023, Burkina Faso's government gave France 1 month to withdraw its troops, ending a military agreement that allowed French forces to operate in the country. The following month, French troops officially left Burkina Faso after a flag-lowering ceremony at a French Special Forces camp. This development fueled speculation that Burkina Faso might strengthen its ties with Russia, following in the footsteps of neighboring Mali, where Russian Wagner mercenaries were already active. In August 2023, Captain Traoré met with a Russian delegation to discuss potential military cooperation. This followed a meeting between Traoré and Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Russia-Africa Summit in July 2023. Traoré's appearance at the summit, dressed in his military fatigues and red beret, stood in contrast to the custom-tailored suits worn by other African leaders. His speech at the summit earned him praise from some who saw him as embodying the revolutionary spirit of Thomas Sankara. During his speech, Traoré criticized African leaders for being too dependent on foreign aid and called for greater self-reliance. He expressed gratitude to President Putin for Russia's support, but emphasized that African countries should focus on achieving food security and economic independence. His fiery rhetoric resonated with many, and some began referring to him as Sankara incarnate. Since taking power, Traoré has faced numerous challenges, particularly in the fight against jihadist groups. The security situation in Burkina Faso remains precarious, but Traoré's leadership has garnered attention both at home and abroad. Only time will tell whether he can fulfill the promises he made when he seized power and restore peace to Burkina Faso. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching African Biographics. Stay tuned for more content like this.